So basically, in last class, we have seen how to use Substance Painter, the basic uses. I'm just going through from those settings again, trying to explain how they works, and then we'll be importing a model here and start texturing it. Okay. So from the basics, let's start it. This is by default our Substance Painter interface. Okay. You might find these settings somewhere around here or here for different kind of versions. So once you see this here, before you start anything, you have to have a file for layer texturing or baking those things. So these terms will be explained later on. For the first scenario, we have to import something. Okay. To import, we have to go in the file, press new, and from new, you can select the template as per your need. Okay. So if you don't know what template you have to select, you can just select any one of the starter assets. Most of the map settings will be already there. Okay. Or if you are specific for, let's say, Blender file or for Unreal, you can select those options for template. Okay. Now for the file part, simply you import something here. So to import a model, just make sure that you have it in the FBX format. So I have this file here. I'm selecting and importing it here. Now comes the next thing, that is a project setting, document resolution. Okay. Basically the kind of map that will be created by texture painting it will be in these resolution or the resolution of your project. Okay. You can also change it after when you bake those maps or when you try to export those maps. Okay. So here just choose a base because it will continuously be rendering from here while you texture it. Okay. Next comes your normal map format. Okay, so there are two formats, DirectX and OpenGL. So DirectX is widely used for your Windows or for your game rendering. Okay, and the OpenGL is basically for Windows too and for other stuff also, but OpenGL can be worked better depending on the software. Just like here, you can see that it's supporting OpenGL in the bottom here. Okay. So most of the 3D softwares by default will have OpenGL as per the settings, but if you still work on the DirectX, you can import it there and you have to invert your maps. Okay. So what are the inversion of the maps and how they looks will be here. Okay. So the first thing, the resolution, basically it is your canvas, the textures, the 3D softwares. You'll be texturing the file. Higher means more resolution, lower means faster and less resolution. Okay. Then comes your normal map format that was shown as your DirectX and OpenGL option. So what are normal maps? These are basically the fake details without adding geometry details into your 3D model. Okay. They will give you a feel of, let's say, a fake depth. Okay. Or something coming out from the surface just by baking it through the light. Now, the thing that I've said, the basic difference between them is this is the OpenGL, the left one, and the right one is the DirectX. Okay. So their green channels are inverted, which is giving you an inversion between these two results. Okay. So here you'll be seeing the green line or the green color is on the top side. Okay. And here it's in the bottom side. So if you're seeing any map, you can directly understand that which kind of OpenGL or DirectX map it is. Okay. But after knowing it, you can just invert it into your 3D software while you import it there. Next come your tangent space. For the tangent space, you'll be seeing it here, compute tangent space per fragment. So it's basically for the normal settings, how it differs and what is the exact work for this one is. Okay, it is divided into three vector paths, that is normal, tangent and binormals. Okay, so for the normal, it's basically the line that is pointing outward perpendicular to the surface. Okay, then your tangents, so it follows the direction of your surfaces, and then the binormal, basically the base of these two things. Okay, the mixture of these two things is your binormal, having the both of these data. for creation of your normal maps. Okay, so it matters for basically normal map if it works correctly or not, but you don't have to always enable it. Only in the cases you have to enable it is when you are using it for models which don't have any tangent data. Okay, most of the model you are creating in Maya or other softwares will have those data combined with them while you are importing it here. They know the data where their normals are for every surface. Well, okay, next comes the option that is your UV tile setting. Okay, here we'll be seeing this UV tile settings. It's saying that it can be changed later on also. So here comes the question, what is your UV mapping? Okay, already explained that UV mapping is basically the unwrapping of your 3D object onto a 2D plane. Okay, so if I have something like a box, I have to open it in a way that my texture while texturing that object won't get any damage, and it will still maintain the proper workflow. Okay, or basically the size of all sides of that space or the surface should remain the same. So basically for every UV it can be a bit confusing. Okay, there can be multiple texture, there can be higher details for a particular part. For that, depending, you just open it up onto a surface. Okay, so to manage it in a bit by bit different boxes, you enable those option as the UV tile setting. Okay, here you can also see that it's written as the puzzle pieces for UV tiles, multiple texture set for different parts of your model like puzzle pieces. So if you have different kind of UDIMs, okay, for a particular object for different textures, you can enable it and it will be helpful for more higher detail onto your surface. Then comes the import settings. Here you can see, so if you select the import cameras, it will be importing the camera detail from the 3D software wherever you have created those model into. Okay, brings in camera position and angle from other 3D softwares. You don't have to recreate camera setup. Okay, and it's basically perfect for render sequence if you already have a camera setup in your 3D space. Instead of using it from the substance painter, again you have to set up the camera for outputs. Okay, then comes your auto unwrap option. So here basically auto unwrap, you only choose it for something where your UVs are not that much matter. Simply you are applying some procedural textures in that scenarios you can use it, but if it's a complex model, okay, you have to UV unwrap it manually and you don't have to select UV auto unwrap so that it won't rewrite your data of UV. If you select it while your model have that UV unwrapped already, it won't get the data. It will try to rewrite it by using its own software settings. Okay, so once I have selected this, I will be importing it here by pressing OK. So here my model is the Pokedex. Okay, above, you'll be seeing few settings suddenly enabled after I have this model. So the basic difference between these settings after importing is that I have something to paint upon. Okay, earlier I didn't have anything, so my brush setting was not working there, my paint layer was not working there. If my paint layer is not working, my size, flow and stroke settings will also be disabled. So now that I have my model, the first thing that I have to do is I have to bake it. I can also start texture painting it, but the basic issue is if I start texture painting it, it won't have the data that we will have later on. If I select on the curvature or thickness map, there is no data. Okay, so these data are basically helpful for better baking of the textures or better applying the smart materials or different mass onto this layer or generators. Okay, we'll also be explaining what are those things, but for now, to go into your baking menu, either you click on this baking F8 is your shortcut key, or you come here in the mode bake mesh maps. Also, you'll be seeing this texture set setting here. You can come up here or if you see that it disappeared, okay, you simply can go in the window view and texture set setting. Okay. Okay, you can change your UI according to your need. Here I lost this option suddenly, and here it was showing as it was already there. So in case you're not finding it here and it's not ticked from these options, you can simply enable or disable it, and that will make it appear or disappear into your UI. Okay. So the third option was going into the texture set settings. In this setting, you have to come down. You can select the size of your maps again from the settings. Okay. And here you'll be finding your channel. So basically these are your maps that will be getting baked. Okay. If you're not finding something that you want to create, you can simply press on plus channel and you'll be finding it by default here. Okay. So it's saying that unsupported by shader. Okay, so these are the things that are not here in the option value of your template. So you have to also choose template as per your normal needs. Okay, so these are the normal things that will be available in most of your templates. Now that you have come here, you simply press here on the back mesh maps. That is again the shortcut of F8, F8 and from the mode F8. Okay, so I'll be selecting here bake mesh maps. Here it will open up something different for my UI. Okay, so it is the UI for your baking of your mesh. By default, the workflow follows that you carry a low poly, you import a low poly here as a file, and the higher details will be imported in your baking mesh part. Okay, here you can see the option high poly parameters. So if I have something as a high poly mesh for baking on top of this, it's mostly used for your organic matters. Okay, so you can simply click here and you can import those different higher poly versions. So right now we don't have anything as such, so we select on the use low poly meshes high poly mesh. Okay, once I select there, I will see that these options are not enabled. So if I carry something or if I import higher poly models, you have to remember something for your substance to understand it automatically. For the higher poly model, you have to end it by the name of underscore high. And for the lower poly, you have to end it by the name of underscore low. Okay, it will capture those data automatically and assign them here. Now that's done, here you'll be seeing one more option as your anti-aliasing. Okay, so what is the work of anti-aliasing? Here, when you are baking or when you start texturing, for the baking menu, wherever your maps are cutted from, okay, those will start to have some jagged lines. Basically, it happen on the curved edges. So these curves, like this rounded curve, the cylindrical curve, they will have that issue here because of the light rendering issues. Okay, so to solve it, we have few options depending on your system. If you have higher GPU, you can simply select 16x1 for your super sampling. Okay, and here basic settings are done. You don't need your ID map because ID is from the color values that you have assigned into your 3D software. These maps will be the common values that you need just for anything to work. Okay, also if I have a good software, the good GPU, I can increase these values here into your ambient occlusion. I can increase to something 100 or 200, Just remember, it will take that much time to start baking it for those particular maps. So curvature, AO, and thickness will have these settings to increase the resolution or the quality of your baking. So once you have selected all this, you have to bake, select texture, and you will see that it's getting baked. While it's baking, you can focus here. The issue is arising due to the cut of your UV. You have to open it into a 2D panel. So that's why you can see that jagger lines. But if the quality of the resolution will be too low, you'll be finding it a more larger cut. So coming back again into your painting part, you come up here or you press F9. Okay. And again, you will coming into the first UI that you see while you open the Substance Painter. From here, now you're seeing these maps are baked. Okay. Now that I can also check it from here, I come up here and the map that I baked is one of the maps are curvature. Now the values are different. So these data will be used to assign these smart materials, generators, or every value inside your Substance Painter. Okay. So once my model have been baked, I will be coming back to my material with the lighting option. To start texturing it, okay, we have to come into your layer settings. Just remember, if you have imported with separate UDIMs, these separate UV set list will be created. So if I hide it, I won't be finding those particular part for texturing. It can be helpful if you have higher detailed model and you have divided them into separate parts. And for your easiness to texture onto those particular parts, you can create them on a different UV sets and you can import it here and you'll be seeing the set list. You can hide, let's say I just want to texture on these parts. I will have them in the separate UV list and I can hide the other body part and I can also just focus only on the particular this part. Okay. Here now you have this layer. By default you'll be finding some layer here as layer 1. This will be your add layers. Okay. So to paint something you need those add layers or some layers to work upon. But the layers have one limitation. Layers are basically your destructive workflow. Okay, what is destructive workflow is if I start texturing it and I save the file and close the file, when I reopen it I don't have any data to go back or I cannot change this color, or even if now I change my color to something as red, it's not changing even though it's in the same layer, and the next value will be changed onto those colors. Okay, so these are your destructive workflow that cannot be reversible once you have done it. Okay, so right now I can press Ctrl Z to go back, but when it's saved you cannot do it. So what's best for us to start texturing? There are a few more methods to start texturing onto your model. You will be finding it here. One of those options are your add fill layers. Okay, so we don't need it, we can simply delete it. We create a new layer as your add fill layer. From the add fill layer you can simply name it as, let's say, base. Okay, and the fill layer and the add layer have a basic difference. For add layer you simply paint the settings, okay, or this model, but for the add fill it's applied on whole object. Okay, so I'll be showing you difference between this add layer and add fill. Okay, here if I click it you will be seeing this option getting enabled. From here I can increase the size of my brush either by here, okay, or by pressing Alt Control press right click. You have to drag it from left to right and you'll be seeing the size change. It's just basically either you can come up here and you can change it, or if you are texturing something and you don't just want to go again and again here, you can press Control right click and can use these settings. Okay, Next, you can increase the flow. If your flow is basically 0 and you start texturing it, you have to keep repeating those texture on top of each other to have those red color or any layer. If your flow is 100, one stroke have the perfect color applied onto those layers. Next is opacity. As per the name, is basically the see-through value. Okay, so increasing the opacity means that you have much more darker values. If not, let's say 0, there will be nothing as visible. Okay. Now the spacing. So whatever you are texturing here is into a space values. Okay. What are the spaces? If you increase the space gap, it means that those textures will have a distance before painting it onto the layer. Okay, so have it at least 20 or 10 to have your continuous workflow. Okay, now that you are done with these settings, you come up here onto the eraser part. So let's say I have textured something, I come into the eraser one, I can simply remove that particular part. The settings are similar for eraser also. Okay, you can increase its size. You can either partially remove textures by increasing or decreasing the opacity or flow or spaces. Third, you won't be using a lot of time paint along path, so it's widely used for something like stitches. Okay, you'll be assigning few paths and you're applying those textures there. Fourth is your projection. For projection, we don't have any data yet, but if we have some data and we start painting on top of it, you'll be seeing that it's only letting pass the value which are into your white format. Okay, or you can also reverse it by changing the value into your alpha channels. Okay, so it can also work opposite. Instead of white, it can also texture something into the black depending on how you're changing those settings. Now comes the main part, your polygon fill. Polygon fill have these separate options. It will be widely used when we'll be texturing on any particular part. So for this triangulate fill, every mesh will be filled half. Okay, you'll be seeing it that the half of this is filled. Let's change the color to something red, so you'll be seeing it clearly. Instead of filling it completely, anything that is in the triangular part will be filled full, or it will try to divide the chord into triangulate meshes. Ajawar. Okay, so from here, that you have anything into a triangulated mesh will be applied directly. And if you have something more than three sides, it will be trying to create or fill the triangulated area. Okay. Secondly, you have something in the chord value. If you don't have chord things and you try to click it, it will still fill those values, but it will find four side at max. Okay. Next is the object fill. So everything that is connected, let's say I select this one, everything that is connected, these things are created separately. So they don't have that value or data to have the texture applied directly. Okay. Or you can have this UV chunk fill. If you have separated the UV particularly, I don't try to texture all of these part manually. Instead, what I can do is I can come up here, I can open my 2D okay view, and I can just texture my UV chunks. Okay, so we have all these options to texture something. Now that we are done from here, you'll be going again into your 3D view. You can also use a shortcut F2 for it. From here, instead of using this one, okay, let's have some reference image to start texturing it. Okay, so I've imported in my pure ref. as a reference to start texturing it. Okay, from here, if I want to color it into something like this way, okay, so I can either use my materials from here, but the main issue is, even though you are clicking on add fill, okay, once this is selected, now I will be naming it as base for my understanding. Okay, base. Once I click here, you'll be seeing in the property fill these options. Okay, so we'll be coming on to your projection settings also later on, but for now just come up to your materials settings. Okay, so the first one that is selected, you can see it here as the color value. If I fill it base layer, it's already applied on whole object. If I change it from here, it can be changed directly. So this is your non-destructive workflow, which means that even if you save it, you open it again, and if I change color from here, it will be applied onto whole object. Okay, so here I'll be trying to pick that color, let's say this one, and will be directly applied here. But the main issue is I've applied only the color channel. I need it to be a little bit more smoother. Okay, to make it a more smoother area, I have to enable one of these channels. So I'll be choosing roughness. By coming into the roughness, I can decrease it to have it more glass like value. Okay, or if I want to create it into a metallic or more plastic values, I have to add a little bit of the roughness for it to have those plastic kind of values. Okay, once I'm done here, I have to separately texture anything. Okay, so the first method that can take a lot of time, that is your add fill. Okay, I select here add fill and I come up here, I select onto the object, I apply some different color, let's say black, and then I click here. It will be applied. Okay, but there are no properties now for your materials, that is your color, height, roughness, okay, metalness. So for that, your fill layer won't work. You again have to create something as a fill layer. Now the fill layer will have this issue. The basic issue is that once you have to, or once you want to fill this one, it will be applied on whole object. Okay, so to separate it, we have two options. One is you add a black mask. Okay, once you added a black mask, the role of black mask is removal of that layer from the particular object. Okay, so on this layer, earlier it was wholly applied, now we don't want it to be worked on this particular layers, but this black mask can work as your add fill, and also it have the same property for your fill layer mask. Here you will be seeing all these settings. So let's say I change the color now to black. Okay, black have some roughness, let's say it's created of rubber, so it will have some roughness, and I'm not adding any other material values. So from here I have to apply this one. I come up into your black mask option, and I come up also into your polygon fill. By coming up here, now I can choose this option to fill it up. Okay, and it will be directly applied onto this object. Now that this is the workflow which was used till 2020 or 2019. Okay, after that, Substance have introduced something new option. The boxes you're seeing it here. Okay, you can simply right click here and you can include all or exclude all instead of using your black mask values. Okay, so here these values will only be applied on the parts which I'm including or excluding. So instead I just delete this one, I create a new layer. Okay, let's say I will name it as rubber, and I'll be changing it color to something like this and having it roughness increased to somewhere around here. Okay, now instead of using there, I will select right click here and click on extrude all. Now it will be activated. So wherever I click now, its count is 0 right now, but if I start clicking on any object, it will start increasing. Okay, so this one is selected as this part. Now the second thing, this is also rubber, this is also rubber, and okay, these are the screen and this is also rubber. Okay, for the rest of the model, let's see what can be different. I guess this can also be rubber so that it don't slide, and I guess this is also kind of rubber. Okay, we have other thing. Yes, it's differently colored. So once we are done till here, you're not seeing the original colors. To see them again, you have to click on your materials, okay, or your fill layer. Now that these are applied here, the process remains same for all the other parts, okay. I will just texturing them fastly until the next issue that we'll be facing. To copy any material or create this copy, you have to press Ctrl D and its duplicate value or duplicate layer will be created. You can rename it as, let's say the next one is your red glass. Just remember that it's also applied on one object that was earlier this one. You have to extrude this one from that layer and you apply it onto the ones which are red. Okay, and these are not getting separated out, so we have to create it by using the other option. We can just apply it for now. Again creating its copy for other color, that is yellow glass or the yellow light one. And then for your green glass. Okay, the layers which are left are, okay, this one also have a yellow color, but I guess it's a button or a light. This one seems to be more metallic. And this blue layer, let's duplicate this one, and instead of using rubber or blue buttons, change the color to blue. Extrude all, only select on these ones. Okay. Now that we are done till here, sometimes, okay, this one is also a screen. We can simply use this one for the green panel. Now the issue is here it's not showing that the border is into some other texture. Or let's say I want this to be the screen in the center and these borders as your metal parts. Okay. So for that I have to apply the metal onto these layers also. And for these layers also. But once I see the metal is not showing because this glass value is already applied on top of this one. So I can also apply a black mask here that will be removing it and only the area that I select by selecting mesh. Okay. The area that I select will be applied with those glass layers. Okay. Similarly for this one, and this one. Okay, and then you see it will be applied properly. Here one more issue we had is here one is red and one is blue. So to change it, the red glass have already been applied. Just remember the blue is under the red one. Okay, so if I apply the blue one here also, it will still shown as the red one because the top layer read as on the top layer for the substance layer system. Okay, with what I have to do is I have to either add a black mask here, but it will remove it from top of everything that had the red color. I come up here and either I select on this one to create it red, but particularly, okay. And for the object menu, I can select this one to apply those glass values. Okay. And I guess it's done till here. Let's check the small details before we finish it. This one should also have this glass. So selecting it here or here and applying it directly won't show until we come up here and select the object. Okay, I guess it was already applied and we removed it. Okay, it's done. For few details like something like this, it should also be a metal part. Go into metal and select it from here. And the top one should also have those lights. This can be plastic or rubber. So let's just apply it. Okay, and the yellow part that was for this one, I don't think it's glass, but we can also apply the glass one, or we can just copy the rubber one again, duplicate it, and yellow rubber. Okay, if you have much better reference for your understanding, you can opt it. Okay, so that your reference will look more realistic or the texture will look more realistic. And I guess it's done till here. So this was the basic use of your layers and how you'll be applying it for texturing something as a hard surface instead of using these materials. Okay. If you have something you cannot create directly, like some complex textures, you can use this. But for the basic texturing part, you can apply it from here.